WFYI podcasts are brought to you by TechPoint, presenting the 25th Annual Best of Tech Mira Awards, recognizing digital innovation across Indiana, April 26th at Old National Center. More, including how to nominate, at miraawards.com.
This is WFYI News Now. It's January 10th, and I'm Darian Benson. On today's show, 6th District U.S. Representative Greg Pence will not run for re-election, how Purdue says it will use $100 million, and new censorship laws across the country often target student discussions on racism and sexual orientation, according to a new study.
When you have laws that don't just prohibit that sort of curriculum, but actually demean it, it's not just demeaning the curriculum, it's demeaning the communities.
Those stories coming up, but first, Governor Eric Holcomb touted Indiana's giant leaps forward in his final State of the State address last night. But Democrats say when it comes to one of the most pressing issues the state faces, access to childcare, those leaps are lacking. Holcomb and state Republican agendas this year are focused on reducing regulations for childcare facilities and lowering the age at which caregivers can work at those facilities. Democratic Senator Shelley Yoder says that does nothing to address the core issue. Indiana faces a childcare workforce shortage because of low wages.
That's where we should be tackling this problem. Do we value this work?
Senate Republican leader Roderick Bray says focusing solely on wages isn't the solution.
If you raise the wages for those employees, you're going to raise the cost of childcare unless it's just fully subsidized by the state government.
And Bray stressed that he doesn't want Indiana government to get into the childcare business that way. Lawmakers of both parties applauded a historic investment the Lilly Endowment will make in Indiana's economic development initiative known as Ready 2.0. Holcomb announced during his State of the State address the endowment will put $250 million into the program targeted for blight reduction, redevelopment, and arts and cultural initiatives. And 6th District U.S. Representative Greg Pence says he will not run for re-election in 2024. As Stephanie Weekman reports, he's one of several incumbents who won't continue on in the U.S. House of Representatives.
In a short statement, the conservative Republican owner of several antique malls said it was his experience as a Marine that led him to run to serve his country again. He said it has been a privilege to represent the district. Pence will have served 3 terms in the U.S. House after winning a district once held for 12 years by his brother, former Vice President and Indiana Governor Mike Pence. During his campaigns, Greg Pence gained a reputation for not responding to interview requests with local reporters. And after being evacuated from the Capitol with Vice President Pence during the January 6th insurrection, he returned to the floor to vote against election results from Pennsylvania. Pence says his legislative team will focus on constituent services for the rest of his term. Pence is the 4th U.S. representative that has indicated they won't run for re-election in 2024, joining Jim Banks in the 3rd District, Victoria Spartz in the 5th, and Larry Bouchon in the 8th. For Indiana Public Broadcasting, I'm Stephanie Weekman.
Purdue University announced yesterday they'll receive $100 million from the Lilly Endowment. As Ben Thorpe reports, the money will be used on 2 major Purdue initiatives, the Mitch Daniels School of Business and growth in computing fields that include artificial intelligence and semiconductors.
The 2 grants represent the largest gift in Purdue University history, according to a release. Roughly $50 million will be put towards a building for the new Mitch Daniels School of Business, which is already under construction. The other $50 million will be used to support renovations of a nanotechnology laboratory, a physical artificial intelligence institute, and an expanded talent pipeline in both AI and semiconductor sectors. In a statement, Purdue President Mung Chiang said, quote, "These strategic initiatives will further elevate Purdue's excellence at scale for Indiana's job creation, workforce brain gain, and tech-driven prosperity." I'm Ben Thorpe.
And for our final story today, at least 21 states have embraced what 2 legal scholars describe as discriminatory censorship laws. Boston University law professor Jonathan Feingold and West Virginia University law professor Joshua Weishart authored a recent report for the National Education Policy Center. They say these laws often block students from engaging in discussions on racism, sexual orientation, gender identity, and American history. Reporter Lee Gaines spoke with Professors Feingold and Weishart about their research and their views on recent censorship legislation in Indiana.
Can you explain what the impact is of these laws on students and educators, Professor Feingold?
The basic threat is that we are depriving students, future leaders, of the knowledge and critical thinking skills they need to actually be responsible members of their communities. But then when you have laws that don't just prohibit that sort of curriculum, but actually demean it, it's not just demeaning the curriculum, it's demeaning the communities. When you have politicians that are really grotesquely mischaracterizing sort of basic information about the history of racism in the United States or about gender identity, that clearly is not just intended to tarnish the curriculum, but also the communities themselves. And so I think that naturally and predictably creates institutional environments in which students and other members of targeted communities are more likely to confront either subtle or more hostile manifestations of what we would just traditionally think of as harassment, whether it's gender-based or race-based.
So Indiana passed a law last year that's supposed to make it easier for community members to request removals of books from schools. The proponents of this law say that schools were stocking pornographic material, but a lot of the books at issue were books that featured LGBTQ identities. Is this an example of a discriminatory censorship law?
It seems to be performing the function that we would consider discriminatory censorship. So one is its proponents are rehearsing what are like just patently bad faith talking points to try to demean certain people. So that members of the LGBTQ community, it has not been uncommon to hear people use terms like pornography, not to target literature that we should actually be concerned about, but to actually discredit legitimate lifestyles and just people's actual existence. You described as well, the law seemed designed to empower a small minority to control what is happening in schools.
What's your take, Professor Weishart?
So I would say it is in line with the subject matter of our report, which is it's discriminatory in that it's targeting certain subjects for regulation in the classroom. And in fact, the first teacher that was ever fired as a result of one of these discriminatory censorship laws was in Georgia. And she had read to her classroom a book that was exploring gender roles and identity. Just think about the self-censorship that this is inducing among teachers.
And Professor Weishart, what would you say to people who are concerned about these laws and want to do something to fight against them?
Well, for everyday parents and those who are, concerned about public education, I think what they could do is they could show up at these school board meetings, and I think many are. We call on our political leaders to do more as well. And so the report recommends at the national level that Congress hold congressional hearings on these types of laws and their impact on students. And we also call on civil rights and education advocacy groups to support teachers, frontline teachers. And we suggest a variety of recommendations there, including a hotline, a national hotline where teachers could get support and guidance, a legal defense fund for when they come under fire and have to defend themselves, a network of lawyers who are willing to step in and support them and to challenge these laws. And we also encourage groups to prepare and disseminate curriculum that would allow teachers to provide a comprehensive and truthful account of their subject matters.
That's all for today's episode of WFYI News Now. Our podcast is produced by the following people who live in your community: Abriana Herron, Daudelin, Kendall Antron, who composed the music for this podcast, and me, Darian Benson. Our news director is Sarah Neal-Estes. If you like today's episode, remember to subscribe and share. And follow WFYI on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube to check in on our newsroom throughout the day. Thanks for listening. We'll be back tomorrow.
WFYI podcasts are brought to you by TechPoint, presenting the 25th Annual Best of Tech Mira Awards, recognizing digital innovation across Indiana, April 26th at Old National Center. More, including how to nominate, at miraawards.com.